No.
Yeah.
Okay, with everyone here, I would like to make a motion to elect a new
Well,
chairman.
Donnell's not.
Right.
I'll nominate Larry Vincent.
Second.
I thought you made a motion to elect the new chair.
She asked for a
So,
motion.
I ask for a motion.
Made and seconded.
Okay, so we haven't, I don't know, what do we do after that?
You leave.
to vote.
I leave, I close the thing, do we have a vote?
aye.
All in favor?
All right then.
Opposed?
Any opposed?
Donnell's like, let me
Let me
out.
I've been on that train before, so. I'll sit there and help you out.
Okay, so we have a new chairman. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
I will see you all later.
Thank you, Donnell.
Check. I'll be watching now.
Steve has been doing quite a bit of combing through past years' minutes and meetings. I'd like for to start out with having Steve kind of give us a review and talk about some issues that we think could be pertinent, not positive, but at least need to be discussed and looked at before we make any decisions or ask for any recommendations or votes. So if that's all right with you all, we'll start out that way.
Well, trying to figure out, being new, how the whole system worked and what went on. I just went back through all the minutes of the meetings. And what I found out was in November of '99, that there was a motion made, and a motion passed, that each elected official would get a 3% raise, annual raise, on their base salary. And that was passed in '99. And it looks like it was given for a couple years, and then there was another issue that came up where they tried to go back to the assessed value. And that was passed, but then later thrown out in court, and it said in the court documents that they should revert back to their old formulas, and it never reverted back to the 3% annual increase. So from what I understand, or what I read here, is that there should have been a 3% increase in base salary from '99 on.
Can they do that, make
That didn't
the
happen.
3% happen? Or
The salary
require us
commission
to
voted
happen?
it. Yeah, they voted it in and it passed, and then the court case says it was supposed to
That'd be
revert.
like us saying all employees get a 3% raise every year. We can't make that happen.
It
Right.
happened, and it was being
Well,
paid.
Yeah, it's up to revenues, I mean.
Each year you'd have to vote on it though, right?
Yeah, I
No.
don't think so.
Not, you can't say that from here on after
So how-
eternity that it's gonna happen.
There's other places.
Other,
that have that.
other counties do the same, have done the
I
same
know.
thing.
They're doing it wrong, obviously, because I disagree with you, right?
Right.
I-
The committee would have to vote
I don't wanna
two-thirds
be
of the
wrong
vote.
already this morning, crap.
They would have to have 2/3 of the salary commission to vote to lower salaries. 2/3, not a simple majority, so,
To lower it.
to lower it. So you'd have to vote on that. This has been in effect since '99, and there's court documents that show when Callahan ruled on it that it was supposed to revert back to this 3%. It shows it was paid in the beginning and then it quit. Which I can understand how confusing everything was. That it-
I'll make the motion, we don't retroact the 3%. Because I don't agree with it, so.
You don't know the whole history on it yet, so I don't know how you can.
I don't know that it's that easy.
Right. To reduce salaries, you'd have to have a 2/3 vote of the whole
I
salary
just made a
commission.
motion, if it dies from lack of second, then so be it.
Let me just read the end of, this is when Judge Callahan ruled on this, and he ruled on this in October of 2007. It is hereby ordered and declared that all votes and actions taken at the 2005 Salary Commission meeting are void for the reasons stated, and the vote and action taken at the 2004 Salary Commission is void because of Section 5539.1 is a special law. Therefore, salaries of the affected Cole County officials as made parties to this action shall be determined by the last Salary Commission certifications for their offices made in the immediately preceding Salary Commission meetings. So that would have taken it back to what it was in 2003, and then 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, 2031, 2032, 2033, 2034, 2035, 2036, 2037, 2038, 2039, 2040, 2041, 2042, 2043, 2044, 2045, 2046, 2047, 2048, 2049, 2050, 2051, 2052, 2053, 2054, 2055, 2056, 2057, 2058, 2059, 2060, 2061, 2062, 2063, 2064, 2065, 2066, 2067, 2068, 2069, 2070, 2071, 2072, 2073, 2074, 2075, 2076, 2077, 2078, 2079, 2080, 2081, 2082, 2083, 2084, 2085, 2086, 2087, 2088, 2089, 2090, 2091, 2092, 2093, 2094 2003, the 3% was still being given.
2001.
2001 was the last one.
It was voted on in 99, it was supposed to take effect in 2001.
Well, they did give it several times, so
They did it 2 or 3 times and then quit.
what year
Well,
was that?
I can give a little more history, if you guys.
Sure.
Do you have additional stuff you wanted to mention about the history of the 3%?
No, you can go ahead and do your.
The 3% originally came about, and I believe it was Jim LePage's office. He and I, along with a few people still sitting around this desk, got tired of every 2 years battling over what we thought were justified attempts to increase the salaries of the elected officials. We certainly tend to the financial needs of our county employees. It's only fair, I think, and it's quite justified that we consider that for ourselves. And I was a commissioner for 8 years, and repeatedly the salary commission meetings that took place every 2 years ended up in no base salary increase, and on occasion would not result either in a COLA. And as the officials, the elected officials, got deeper and deeper into a hole, so to speak, we've since seen department directors who make noticeably more than elected officials. We appreciate their hard work, we reward them for their experience and their education and their professionalism. However, the elected officials are no less professional or experienced or justified in being remunerated by the taxpayers than any other employee. And so Jim LePage and I, if I recollect, accurately, came to the conclusion that the Salary Commission at its next meeting should just put on the table a flat % increase on the base salary thereafter. And so we wouldn't get into this biannual contest about whether we're going to get a COLA, whether we're going to get a pay increase or not. And, based on that idea, it went to the Salary Commission in 2001, was it?
It's a 99 meeting and it was to take effect in 2001.
Right, so in 1999, and it passed, and that should have been the end of it. And to address Commissioner Helscher's concern about being retroactive, or about anybody else's concern about whether that's something we should revisit or not, I would just remind everybody that you could vote today to get rid of the 3% that Salary Commission voted in place back in 1999. But that still doesn't undo the fact that Salary Commission made a motion, that was seconded, that was passed, and the votes are there in writing about who voted yes and who voted no. And that's where we are today, and I think that it's pretty clear from Judge Callahan's written remarks, nothing in any way undoes what that Salary Commission had decided in 1999. And the reason I bring this all up, besides giving us all a little quick history lesson, is we're headed back into some headwinds at this meeting and maybe another meeting or two before the year's over, arguing about the same thing. Meanwhile, all the county elected officials continue to lose purchasing power every single year because they don't get an increase to their salary, to their base salary, and on top of that, they more frequently than not, maybe I shouldn't say it that way, they haven't gotten the COLA as well sometimes as they've actually passed on to the county employee.
Thank you, Harry.
I think we've always gotten the COLA, I believe. We've never,
I
at
thought they
times,
were-
the commission gave merit increases so that elected officials wouldn't get a COLA.
Right, they called it a merit instead of a
Yeah.
COLA. And in essence, we didn't get the COLA increase was not provided for the elected officials, though the county
I shouldn't-
employees.
well, yeah.
The way the statute is if you provide a COLA, my understanding, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong on this, if the commission grants a COLA applies to everybody. If we do a salary increase, that only occurs at the salary increase outside of the COLA issue, that occurs at the beginning of the next term. What we're talking about here is, one, what continues in the future, but in theory, a debt that's currently owed.
And the last thing, let me say this, is that the salary commission, had gotten the legal counsel, I can't remember exactly who it was, and I don't know if your notes say, or if your minutes say, but that committee would not have voted that 3% increase if they knew that council had not signed off on it. And I don't know, Mark, if you were part of that, or, because obviously it wasn't Callahan, wasn't prosecutor then, but.
Well, Callahan was,
Yes, he-
or was it Tackett?
It's Tackett.
It was Tackett.
I believe Tackett.
It was before my term.
That's right,
Yeah.
so.
Still Tackett.
Yeah.
He signed the salary forms.
And knowing Jim and Bill's relationship back then, which was on amicable terms, Jim would have passed that by him in advance of the meeting, and the county salary commission would not have voted it without making sure that it passed the, what test as they call that? Let's see, I'll skip that word.
so you're saying what that salary commission can do is give us a raise for every year forever, and I don't agree.
That's
That-
what they
that-
did, that's what they did.
That's what they did.
That's what the
That's what
motion
they're
says.
trying to do, or that's what they tried to
We're
do, but
talking about
that's,
history, yeah, we're
well,
talking, yeah.
I mean,
And the county
so we
budgeted, Chris.
we could
the
challenge
county
that, I mean,
budgeted.
so, that's just, it's not right. I mean,
Well,
you
you're
could
arguing about
break,
whether it's not right, not whether it happened or not. It
So-
happened, and the county paid out.
That
and-
year.
And then they,
that year, or those 2 years, or whatever.
They did it, looks like 2000 and.
I mean, that could potentially break the county.
They did it for 2,
I mean,
3 years.
you're saying that salary commission has more power and more authority than the auditor of the commission.
I'm not
to-
saying anything about their power, please don't put words in my mouth. And we have a huge reserve right now, so for you to sit there and suggest that it would bankrupt the county, I think is simply not the case.
Let's not get into an argument. This is, right now, this meeting's about trying to establish what has happened in the past and whether it's pertinent to what we're doing today.
So what are y'all suggesting then?
Well,
That's what we need to figure it out.
that's what we need to figure out. Do we want to, assign some of the members of the salary commission to research this, go over it with someone to say what's right or wrong, or
That's what my
the
motion was
liability
about.
for
I
the-
say no. We just disregard it. We don't make the salaries retroactively increase by 3% since, because you said the first year was,
Well-
they voted on in 99 to be effective in 01, and they did it for
That's-
3 years, 1, 2, and 3.
They did it in 2001, and it was an annual increase, so that means every year you would have got 3% increase from 14 years ago.
I got that
Everybody
part.
that was in office should have got an increase.
they get it doing these.
Can I ask a question? Mark, I hate to throw you in the mix, but if that is correct, would that be legally binding on the committee?
Well, what I've stated previously.
That would be subject to
is
annual
unchanged,
appropriations.
Is that the salary, that Cole County put itself in the provisions of the salary commission, the part that says each 2 years, the salary commission shall meet, and at that meeting, it shall do 3 things. Receive a statement from the county clerk on the financial condition of the county, consider or take up the issue of whether or not an elected official would be able to get a COLA if the county commission later passes a COLA for all county employees. And then to either leave the salaries of the next group of elected officials in that term the same, or increase those salaries, or vote by 2/3 to decrease those salaries.
that doesn't.
So did the vote in '99 though only apply to the people that took office in 2001?
It said 2001 going forward.
But you can't vote just an increase for partial elected officials. It has to be the same across the board.
Right, but for everybody that takes office, it would be the next.
Right.
That's what it said, yes. It'll be the next term of office, right?
The office, not the individual.
See, I would rather pass on just the COLA to us. And, I don't know, boy, we're asking, this half-cent sales tax next year. It's gonna be kind of the same thing.
Doesn't it-
People are gonna say, well, you guys gave yourself a big raise. Why do we
I don't
need to
know.
give you?
I don't know that, well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I just,
That's the salary commission.
I don't know that anybody, first off, I don't know that anybody's proposing a big raise, but I guess one thing we need to find out is there liability for what hasn't happened in the past? Were these people entitled to that 3%?
now I'm new. How many years have we done a COLA? I mean, how many years have we not done it?
It wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't.
Jerry, if they said this, you could still do a COLA on top of it. Just like if you do a merit raise for an employee, you can do a COLA on top of it.
I think we've done a COLA twice in, well, I don't know. We'd have to ask Debbie how many COLAs.
Well, it's on here. See, that's at the top. Should be
Well,
one,
it-
two. Oh, we don't go all the way though, do we? We just go to 2005.
Well, that one goes to 2008.
It looks like 2003 was the last time they paid the 3%. And then after that, it went maybe to a COLA, I'm not sure. I don't know why it stopped.
Chairman, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Other counties have encountered this, retroactive issue, and often it goes on quite a long time and it becomes very unpleasant. Commissioner Helsher has already suggested that we dispense with considering retroactive pay. And so my suggestion is for us to think for a minute about all of us agreeing to not consider that issue, to not consider that the county should pay any of us money, a salary due according to what we think happened in 1999. And instead, just all agree that that's water under the bridge and turn our attention rather to having, fair outside counsel look at the motion that was made in 1999 and give us a clean opinion about how we should proceed as a group henceforward. That's what I would suggest, is just stop talking about the past, and unless there's an official in this room who thinks that they're due that and wants to fight it, it should be a pretty easy decision to make. And then we can focus on, since there's, I think there's a real question about the validity of what happened in 1999 to not force the hand, but to commit future salary commissions always to a 3%. I think that's worth having counsel look at. But I think it should be somebody outside of the county rather than somebody. That's not to cast aspersions on our prosecutors' sense of fairness, but it's simply somebody who does this, municipal and
Affected by it.
he's not affected by it. Our prosecutor isn't affected by it. I just meant that somebody who.
You don't get anything?
No, my salary, and I believe the sheriff's salary is set by the legislature.
My base is set by the legislature, but whatever decisions they make about elected officials, I still get.
Mine is entirely by the legislature,
So it's just that was my suggestion,
Well,
Mr. Chairman.
the only thing I would add to that is I think you need a dual legal opinion. I think you need, because it's not just the people sitting here, it's people that were elected at that time that are no longer here that potentially would be due that amount. I think we need a legal opinion on that. We do it, let's do it straight.
I say leave a sleeping dog lie and We haven't been doing it.
I
We're not
agree, I
required to
agree,
do
and
it.
I can't imagine any past elected official that ever served Cole County since 1999 coming back and saying, you owe them money. I can't think of one person that I've served with that is going to demand that 3% over those several years, so.
I still don't see how they can vote to make us and require us to raise the officials' pay every year.
And if they are, they should come forward and, approach the county with that request or a legal.
I'm not even
suit.
talking about past elected officials, I'm talking about how something could be elected or voted on the salary commission to give us a raise every year, a 3% raise. I fail to see how that would hold any water.
Well, and that may be right, let's just get an opinion on it, so we've got some grounds.
I don't even want to waste time getting an opinion on it. Why are we going to get an opinion on it? If we get an opinion on it and they say, yeah, we can require it to do it, then what's that going to do? Are we going to raise everybody's salary 3%?
If they say that that's what you're required to do, if that's what the law is, it's like anything else, we just need to follow the law. And I'm not disagreeing that we need to fix this, but I don't want to do anything illegal.
And Jeff, if your opinion holds sway with the majority of the salary commission, which it may, then the vote, would turn out the way you'd like it to. But first you gotta clean up the legal quagmire from 1999. That kind of hangs over any decision that we might make today or between now and the end of the year.
I guess I still don't understand why you even look into it.
Well, if you'd been to look into.
Why does
well,
it matter if it holds
because
water
if
or
you
not
re-
if we
if you
decide
read-
we're not
What
going to
was-
do the raises?
What was the original motion that was made?
All right. A motion was made by Jim LePage and seconded by Eric Peters to move that the salaries for the offices whose term of office began during the calendar year 2001 should continue to be based on the maximum allowable by law when applicable, and that such salary should be adjusted for the year 2001 and each year thereafter by an annual 3% increase on the base salary. And the motion was, the first motion made by Jim LePage and seconded by Eric Peters was voted on as the previously presented and passed by an 8-4 vote. Voting yes were LePage, Rich, Jones, Peters, Deacon, Callahan, Rodman, and Haymeyer. Voting no were Neitzler, Fork, Smutzler, and Mueller. Pretty cut and dried the way I see it. It's
Did you make a motion or are you making a suggestion?
I was just making a suggestion to the chairman so that we could discuss it and, either move in that direction or not. So I just thought,
Mark, do you think we ought to have someone look at that, or do you think we can do whatever we want and
Well,
not worry about it, or?
I think, same advice I've given in the past is, I think the salary commission is given the duties in that one subsection that says the three things that the salary commission does every 2 years. And I don't know that there's authority to go outside those things in that section. Once the county went into the option of doing the salary commission and determining the percentage that applies as a raise, decrease, or leave the same. So I take a more narrow view of the statute that says the salary commission is confined to those things in that specific statute to do every 2 years for the terms that are coming up to be elected upon.
in other words, the 3% went beyond what the statute outlines.
Well, I'm not giving, I haven't researched that issue. All I've looked at is what can the salary commission do every 2 years by statute? And it seems to be pretty narrow under that statute of what a salary commission has authority to do.
which it can leave the salary the same, it can raise it, or it can vote to lower it.
Would you be willing to research this issue on the 3%, or would you rather be going outside?
It conflicts with my opinions of what we do now as a salary commission. So I wouldn't be willing.
I've already seen it. I
want to
haven't
research that.
So So basically, if every salary commission passed, when they passed this, said they would just leave it the same, then the 3% would stay in effect. If they didn't vote to change it or lower it or raise it, then the 3%
If they don't-
should have went forward.
If they
No,
don't-
because
No.
it just applies to the next elected officials.
It only applies to
Depends on which
the
attorney you have,
elected
look at it.
You can't
No,
do
they can all
half
look at it
elected
differently, I
officials.
guess.
Everybody has to get the
That's
same.
why,
Like
that's
us.
why we need to get some
No,
legal opinion.
the salary.
But if we have three
commission
attorneys look at it, we'll have three
Every 2
opinions.
years?
decide the salary for the people that
Let
are
me
gonna
pick
be
my attorney
elected
look
that
at it
next
then.
year, not everybody. That's-
But isn't there a stipulation that says you can't increase them, you have to increase the same percent for every elected official?
Right.
It has to increase the same percent across the board.
Right.
So,
So it doesn't matter. It would have to go 3%
well,
for
I
everybody.
guess that conflicts with what Mark said, if we're only voting on the ones taking office the next term,
That's right.
then you're not increasing everyone the same percentage.
You're increasing, well, yes, you are. You're increasing the percentage of that office as the next person, as the next election occurs. And then every year thereafter, the 3% is what I'm saying. So in this.
But Chris-
like-
So in this case, the people that got elected in 2001 got the 3% then, and the rest of them got it when they took office the next time, so it would have been 2003.
There's actually a letter in here from an attorney that talks about that, because it's really is an equalization of pay, because every 2 years, a group of them are ahead of the other group, so.
Yeah, that's what happened in '99.
Well, on that first year, and then every year afterwards, everybody got 3%. That's what it sounds like it's saying.
It sounds like what we did is it obligates the next salary commission so that a group of us, half of us, don't get out of whack with the other. It commits the next salary commission to also give a 3% raise to the next tranche
But they
of
didn't.
elected officials.
Well, and the way to stop it is to have a 2/3 vote to cause it to cease.
The following.
But that still doesn't negate the timeframe that's existed. And that's where we need a legal opinion, so we don't get that quagmire. And all it takes is one person to sue.
Well, we need a motion if we're gonna do anything in regards to this part of the issue. Otherwise, we need to move on and discuss the current year.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that we have an outside counsel review this and see if we are bound by that 3% that's been in place since 2000.
2,000. I'll second the motion.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll vote. We'll do roll call vote.
So what are we trying to have them research, whether we're obligated to
Well,
bring
that's
all
how-
of our pay up 3% every year since 2001? So in essence, everybody probably get an average $15,000 raise?
I would say that what we're doing is we're asking them to determine if that salary commission had the authority
To
bind
obligate us.
Up here, to obligate us, yeah.
Yeah, this is not an, can we make comments on the motion?
Certainly. Brief.
I don't think the sheriff or I are suggesting that we're trying to get back pay
No.
for ourselves or anybody else. I think I'm against it. I don't know how you feel
Well, I
about
think
it.
what we're trying to do is determine the
Clarify.
legality of it.
Right, right.
But if we don't look into it and we don't do anything with it, then what's that hurt us? I mean, we're gonna pay outside counsel to
Yeah,
look
who's
at
gonna
this.
pay for the outside counsel?
Well, we are. So if we just leave it alone, what's that hurt?
Everybody's salaries.
Has the salary commission, when's the last time the salary commission met?
2 years ago.
Every 2
Years
years
now.
they meet, and they haven't done
Okay.
anything to adjust salaries for.
It doesn't hurt
years.
anybody's salary. Everybody in here, when they ran for office, knew what their salary was.
Well, that's not actually
So-
true.
I
I
did.
was in office for about a month, almost a month, and I asked, by the way, you know what I make?
Yeah, I didn't either.
I had no idea.
There's always one in the group.
Jeff,
Yeah, I
Sam.
didn't either.
Jeff, I think you're right. It doesn't make a difference. If we left it alone, it wouldn't make any difference. I agree with you. But who in this room wants to have a decision of a past salary commission just hanging out there you kind of want to tie up, you know, loose ends so that any future decision you make, you know, isn't, you know, based on some flawed understanding of the past. And that's worth something to some of us, to just close that
That's fine.
chapter.
I mean, if we get outvoted, I disagree. I don't think that commission can obligate us forever to these raises or until we vote otherwise. And I don't think that we really need to look into it, but
Yeah. I would
That's-
suggest
that's
the
why we vote
opposite.
on it.
I
That's
would
why there's
suggest the
all-
opposite, that if we have legal counsel look at it, it won't make a difference what they tell us anyway. It'll just clarify something.
Well,
and
if we've
that's
met
what-
every 2 years, and that's what we're doing now, and in the past, they have not voted to increase the salary,
So Mark, would a
that's kind of a
vote-
moot point, so this is,
Except that they didn't vote to decrease that 3%.
Well, wait a minute. So does a vote in a later salary commission override this one?
Yes.
So, like,
Well, my position is no, because of what the salary commission statute tells the salary commission it can do every 2 years.
well, because I know if it was 4 or 8
Section 8.
years ago, we voted to make the current salary the base salary, so that all the COLAs got included, so the newly elected started at the same pay that the person leaving was starting at. So at that point, did we override? I mean, if we weren't giving it, and at that point, we voted that this is the base salary, does that override that?
Because it takes 2/3 to reduce. If it caused a reduction in salary, it would have required a 2/3 vote of the salary commission to reduce.
Mark, I want to make sure I understand.
Section 50.333.8 tells us what we have to do every 2 years. And that language hasn't changed.
So if I understand what you're saying, what even decisions made at later salary commissions not to increase salary doesn't do away with the 3% increase that the salary commission in 1999?
I haven't given any opinion on that. I said, I'm not gonna give an opinion on that, because in my reading of it, the salary commission this year, which we've convened our meeting, can do what it says in this subsection 8.
And next,
That's what it's done every 2 years that I've been here.
And then
That's
the-
fairly narrowly specified.
but then the next salary commission, whatever they do, doesn't affect what the prior salary commission did?
It moves forward to the next elected terms of office for the office holders in the next period.
And if you're going to reduce the salary, it requires a 2/3 vote, which we haven't done. Since I've been. We haven't increased, but we haven't decreased. And that's why I want this clarified, because we shouldn't have to have this discussion every time it comes around.
Right. That's what was trying to be avoided back then.
Let's vote, unless there's more discussion.
I'd just like to say that I don't know how that we can vote on this because obviously lots of you have more information than we have. And I mean, you know, we're getting blindsided with this. And so, you know,
Well,
people have done some research and, you know, it'd been nice if everybody would have shared some of that information before we get here. And now you're wanting to vote and obligate the county to spend money on outside counsel.
This is the first, today when I walked in, it's the first time I heard this.
Me too.
Steve and I just came across this yesterday and discussed it. I mean, he was reviewing the past minutes so that we could run the meeting appropriately and came across this information. And that's the first time it's been discussed, was yesterday. If you wanna table this vote to another meeting, so everybody has a chance to review the information he has, I certainly don't have an issue with that.
Well, and I'm perfectly content with Jill doing it, as so long as she's just free to do her job, you know. And I think you all would do that. I mean, I'm comfortable with Jill.
Does Jill work for the commission or does she work for the county? If she works for the commission, I'm not comfortable with that. If she works for the county, I'm comfortable with that. So that would have to be clarified before we proceeded with that.
She represents all of us, doesn't she?
With permission
Well,
of the
with permission.
county
If
commission.
you all would
I know
grant
she
her the authority
represented
to work under
my office.
work under the chair of the committee for this purpose, for this sole purpose, I'm fine, would you be fine with that?
With what?
If the commission allowed Jill to work under the auspices of the salary commission in the person of the chair for this sole purpose, would you be comfortable? Because that wouldn't cost any more money.
Is everybody gonna be happy with her opinion though?
I don't think so. I think we should get
I
an
don't
outside
think,
opinion.
I don't think that, even if she looks into it and comes up with an opinion of it, that everybody's gonna agree, and we don't end up going to have
Just be
somebody
another-
outside look at it anyway. I may be wrong, I mean, that's,
I think you're right.
Well, then let's vote.
Yeah, let's vote.
Do you want to give everybody a chance to review the information?
It still requires an outside opinion, in my opinion.
Okay.
As long as it takes us to review it, it doesn't matter. We still need an outside opinion.
What is the timetable for actually
We have to have
voting
it,
this year?
we have to have a decision by November 30th, I believe is what the statute says.
Basically, I don't know how you can vote on anything without knowing what the factor of this is, because you can't vote an increase and come to find out that this increase was in effect. So you can't, you're just stuck until a decision is made here.
But how quickly are we going to get the outside counsel's opinion back is my
Well,
question.
we know what the binding time is, so they've got to move on.
We find somebody. that
we could
can
vote
meet
to
that
leave the
time.
salaries where they're at is what we
To
could
somebody
do.
to let them.
But
Well,
the question still begs, does that mean that there's an indebtedness that we have never paid?
Nobody ever said anything until now, so I say no.
Can,
We just vote to say it's the same now. If
Can
somebody
I-
wants to sue us for
can I-
back pay or
as Chairman, I don't know if
you're in
I
charge,
need to hand the
Mayor.
gavel over to somebody to speak or
We
what.
got a hammer.
Jeff, not all of us are comfortable with leaving it as it currently is.
I understand.
For several of us, this is a full-time job, not a part-time job like it is for the commission.
I understand.
And, for instance, when I took office, Skip Rich didn't do it full-time. Jim LePage didn't do it full-time. Sean Ordway didn't do it full-time. Marvin wasn't full-time. Larry Rodman, he wasn't even part-time. Don't pretend.
That's said.
It's recorded.
And we're all,
I don't
all of us
disagree, Larry.
are doing full-time now, full-time work. And it's, you know, I've been here 8 years and there's never, have not had a raise other than the COLA that the employees have got.
So what
Now,
happened
I
with
knew what it
somebody-
paid when I took the job. I didn't think it was gonna be stagnant forever. And I didn't have a problem with it being stagnant for 8 years. But I think alone in the money I've saved the county, I eliminated an employee, which has reduced salary, the county's cost by in excess of $50,000 that they've saved for that 8 years, or not 8 years, probably for five or six. So I've saved the county $300,000 right there. I think I'm entitled to a little bit of a raise.
I don't disagree. But this has nothing to do with what happened in '99 and 2001,
Right.
and I think we all just leave
And
that the
that's
hell
why I
alone.
said
If we
I'm
want to
not
talk about raises,
comfortable-
let's talk about
That's why I
raises
said
now.
I'm not comfortable with leaving salaries
So-
as is.
Okay, well, I didn't make a motion to do that, and it's an idea to leave it alone instead rather than having
Okay, we
it.
do have a motion on the
What's the
floor.
motion?
The motion is to get outside legal counsel to review the 1999 salary commission, find out if it's legitimate or not. Does that pretty much summarize the motion? Roll call vote, please. Oh, are you the secretary?
Yeah, I didn't know if you called that. Presiding Commissioner Sam Bushman,
Yes.
Eastern District Commissioner Jeff Helsher,
No, ma'am.
Western District Commissioner Chris Shepperly.
No.
Assessor Chris Estes,
Yes.
Auditor Kristen Bearhorse,
Yes.
Collector Larry Vincent,
Yes.
County Clerk Steve Forsmeyer,
Yes.
Prosecuting Attorney Mark Richardson,
No.
Public Administrator Marilyn Smutzler,
Yes.
Recorder of Deeds Ralph Bray,
Yes.
Sheriff Greg White,
Yes.
Treasurer Eric Peters.
Yes.
Tally them up, see if it passed.
Well, I just think we need, I'm
That's
like,
fine.
I'm
Now-
like,
That's why we vote.
I'm like Greg, I think we need to,
Now, do we want to discuss the salary commission from this year going forward, or do we want to,
If we do without clarifying, we could be doing something we don't necessarily want to do.
okay, so,
Can I don't agree. There's nothing wrong with having the two commissioners or whoever else who has expressed an opinion thus far that we not grant ourselves an additional salary increase for this next cycle. There's not.
We didn't vote that.
No, you all are suggesting by your comments that you're not going to support an increase to our I'm not talking about you, I mentioned the two commissioners.
My comments were strictly about having an attorney look into it rather than just leave it lie and go from right now.
Well, then maybe I should ask the question, are you inclined to allow the salary commission to, I'm just asking for an opinion, you think it's okay for us to talk about getting a raise?
well, I don't
On our
think,
base?
it's not solely based on what he thinks. The salary commission is made up of all of us,
well,
so.
I think
know,
right
I'm
now
talking
we
to
would
that
probably
person
just
who
go
is-
with the COLA. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna,
Well, by my history, I've never voted for a raise. I didn't even vote for the COLA raises, but that didn't stop us from talking about it. We can talk about it now, but
Exactly,
do we have to
that's
know
what
the
I'm
information?
suggesting, is that just because we made this motion in the past about council looking at whatever, we can still talk about the prospect, yes or no, yay or nay, about a possible increase to the base salary or a COLA. I think it's okay for us to talk about it today, and just so that everybody leaves this room having an idea of what the lay of the land is, should we meet again. That's my only suggestion, is that we just allow ourselves to keep talking about this next cycle of elected officials, whether they should get a raise, and whether it would be a COLA, or whether it would be a, base salary increase or not, as opposed to us adjourning and then all wondering what's gonna happen at the next meeting. Since we're all here, why not keep talking?
I think that.
Ralph had his hand
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry.
I don't, if we continue to talk, I don't know that we would know what to talk about. Seems to me we need to adjourn until we learn the legal opinion.
We're not gonna continue talking about the past. This is where Jeff's got it right. I think what we can talk about is the future, and I think Mark Richardson is saying it's okay for this commission right now to talk about the next tranche of elected officials that are coming up. It's okay for us to talk right now about a possible pay raise, or no pay raise.
You don't have to vote on the pay raise. either,
Exactly,
For that
just-
matter, but I guess
yeah.
you can put it out on the table where you want to see things go, what direction, or no direction, leave it the same.
Well, it sounds like to me we don't even know what our base salary is right now.
I think we have to follow the law regardless of what we do, so we've got to have that legal opinion.
salary.
Each year's salary, I don't know.
Is the base currently what it was when the COLA was
Well,
added? or-
what we have is based on current year. We're not going back.
It would be based on, in 2001, it would be based on what the base salary was there plus 3%. Then the next year would be what that new base is plus 3%. And then you've got the COLAs that have been voted, the few COLAs that have been voted on top of that. That's a significant difference. And it is a significant difference.
Well, yeah, if you want the 3% plus the COLA that you got in that given year, I mean, that could be 4 or 5, 6%.
It could be, and that's why I think it's important that we can lay this thing to rest one way or the other, period. And that's what makes me nervous about even the, if all of a sudden you had a $12,000 increase to your salary, I'm not sure that I would want to vote an additional salary.
I'm not suggesting we vote. And additionally, I don't think there's anybody out there, current or past elected official, that's interested in collecting money based on a possibly flawed motion back in 1999. I just think we're making a mountain out of a molehill on that now.
Okay, if the thing from '99 had never come to this meeting, nothing happened with it, then what would the conversation have been today, is what you're talking about, right?
I'm willing to have the discussion, so long as we understand that there's gonna be a vote to table once we've had it, rather than moving forward.
Yeah, I was just saying, let's not adjourn and not talk about the possibility of increase. I'm not interested in us voting today about an increase or no increase. I just didn't want us to quit talking about.
So your discussion though would be based on what the salary currently is, what would we do?
Right, and we're assuming that the current salary is what we all make right now, notwithstanding this thing about 1999. I think we're smart enough and clever enough to put that to the side and now talk about going forward, so that when we leave here, we have an idea of each other's opinion about whether or not we should give ourselves a base salary increase or not, and whether we're inclined to give ourselves a COLA or not. I think it's okay for us to talk about that, and it's certainly within the narrow interpretation our prosecutor is giving us about what the statute says the salary commission is able to do.
So,
Does anyone have any recommendations on in leaving it the same, increasing the base amount based on what's being currently paid?
Right. You're talking about actually on the base, not the COLA.
On the base?
Yes.
again, as an outgoing elected official that will not be a recipient of this, when you compare county salaries with surrounding, I'll tell you what we do each year is we look at Cape Girardeau County, we look at Jasper County, we look at Boone, we look at Callaway, and of course, my people, we also look at the agency that we tend to lose people to. Thank you. And in general, look, counties of similar size, we seem, at least within the law enforcement side, look at this real quick.
Thanks, sir.
You're okay.
Boone's always higher.
Yeah.
Well,
They should be struck off the list.
I'm looking for, okay.
You can't compare Boone and the rest of them.
Cape Girardeau is the nearest thing we have to it, and I know that their sheriff makes like 86,000 a year.
This is just first-class counties. I emailed them and asked them to submit their salaries, and this is just first-class counties, so you can.
So it's Cape.
Okay, Cape is, okay. Some of them didn't respond.
And they're very close to us.
My understanding is that Callaway will be going back to its class 2 county.
Yes.
In 2013, Cape's salaries averaged $72,000 for all the elected offices. 70 to 72,000, and that included the commissioners.
But what I was about to say is I think that we should have a raise for elected officials in the next cycle.
In 2013, the average first-class salary for elected officials was $62,990.94. There were 14 first-class counties, 10 of them are paying higher than Cole County, 3 are lower. Boone County's, which is a much larger county, theirs is tied to anytime the employees get a raise, the commission gets a raise. Theirs last year went up to over 90,000.
In Boone County, they said they did an adjustment a few years back.
Taney County, which was one of the lower first-class counties, just voted in a 25% raise last year.
Still have to do the financial of the county, too.
I think it's worth pointing out that I know most of us go to annual conferences for our elected official groups. And with the county, with a lot of us, we have found that second, third, and even fourth-class counties approach and surpass oftentimes what this first-class county pays their elected officials. And I just say that as kind of a, you know, if a person's fair-minded and wants to keep up with the times, the fact that second, third, and fourth class counties best us in terms of salary, I don't think it means that they're not being frugal with their money. I'm suggesting that we've dug ourselves in a hole, and there's every justification to look at attempting to dig us out of the hole. Second, third, and fourth class counties, set elected officials approach and oftentimes are higher than what we pay our elected officials. And for some of you, I know that means absolutely nothing, but I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Well, I think the thing that everybody needs to do, and I would suggest that we put the teacher right on.
This is the financial statement.
But I would suggest that you look and try to figure out what you think.
Haven't done it yet.
the Percentage increase is. And as long as it's reasonable, I'm going to be supportive of it. And again, I'm not going to be here to be a recipient. But I think the next person needs to be closer in line with what other sheriffs, which are far below police chiefs in general.
Does the auditor have any opinion about the ability of the county to sustain a, you know?
You wanna do the financial
Yeah,
now?
Steve has a financial statement, it's through the end of September of, current revenues and expenditures for the 5 funds that currently pay salaries out. I didn't include any other funds, which don't really relate to this discussion at the moment. We do have a very healthy cash balance in all 5 of those funds. And the reserves, the lowest reserve is 16%, and that's in EMS. So we have healthy reserves in all of those funds, so I'm not saying what the percentage would be of the raise, but I think that each of the 5 funds could withstand giving a raise. And some of those cash balances at the end, of course, will change. If you look at the law enforcement fund, the $8 million, they do have a $2 million debt service payment to make before the end of the year, so their cash balance at 12/31 will be closer to $5,811,000. So those will change slightly between now and the end of the year, but again, the reserve percentages will be over 16% in all of those funds. Some quite large. Actually, if you look at the general fund, they have a very healthy reserve at the moment.
Does anybody have any recommendations, or obviously we are gonna have to meet again, as the sheriff suggested.
I think we have Cape Girardeau's. I'll check if we do get it to you.
If you send it to me, I'll put it on the chart and we'll have it for next meeting.
Is it worth the group to have a small committee look into Cape Girardeau's salary base and other relevant information, and then make a recommendation to the Salary Commission? Is that something that the members would be interested in pursuing?
Is everybody amenable to that?
And if they are, I would suggest those of us that have expressed their opinion strongly in favor of a salary increase, and those that have expressed a strong opinion not to increase, that they not be on the committee. I think it should be made up of maybe 2 or 3 members who are, if there's any of us that are neutral on this, maybe they should be the ones.
I think it has to involve the auditor, it has to involve the chair.
Right. Or maybe it should involve somebody who's vociferously in favor and somebody who's vociferously opposed. One of each, the chairman and the auditor. Maybe that would make a good committee. might make for some fireworks, but.
Is one of the three commissioners willing to serve?
I nominate Sam.
Okay.
Well, if you're wanting somebody impartial, it's not me or Jeff. I can tell you that right now, because I'm opposed to any salary increase, period.
That's what I just said.
So, anyway.
Well, yeah, I would gladly do it. I know the state just voted down increases for themselves, and we've got our half-cent sales tax, so I know if we give ourselves raises, our letter writers to the News Tribune are gonna have a field day. So, man, I know that's, but,
If you got Sam and Aaron,
I could
the two of you all, okay?
but I would gladly do it.
Who's
They're
gonna,
not gonna vote on it.
can I ask a question
They're not
on
voters.
the motion that passed? Who's going to get this person, outside person, to do, and how soon can we?
Chairman's responsibility.
We'll find a way to get even.
But the commission has to pay for it, right? So I'm trying to figure out how do we get this situation started, because we have a deadline to come back and meet again?
Yes.
So
I
I would
will-
think that's a question we needed to settle now rather than worrying about. I mean, we have got a deadline to come back and meet again and make that decision, correct?
And on the committee, you have the authority to appoint that.
Chair. I'll run some names past the committee on some attorneys I know that handle government county issues. Several I know offhand, of course, Mike Berry, who's done work for Cole County, Lowell Pearson, who I know represents Camden County, or at least that law firm does, Hush Blackwell. Joe Bednar has done work for Cole County before also. I think any of those three could do it. I don't know if any of you all have an opinion.
Wayne Schreiman, Harvey Kettelbaum.
Yeah.
I appreciate all of those.
Harvey's and Hush Blackwell.
And Harvey has offered to help us.
Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt, but we have a commission meeting that starts at 9, so we need to wrap this up.
Make a motion to adjourn, and we're gonna schedule another meeting, or are we going to,
Well, we need to schedule another meeting.
wanna go 2
But we
weeks?
need to go 2
Depending
weeks.
on when we receive a decision.
Well,
Preliminary, you
when,
can go.
when this, whatever,
2 weeks is the 3rd.
can we do it at 8 o'clock again on the 3rd?
I have probate court at 8:30.
I would
Okay,
do it the afternoon of the Thursday.
I could do it the afternoon.
November 5th?
that's a
Thursday.
Thursday, Thursday morning.
8 o'clock that way.
Oh, that's right.
We can do it at 10.
On the 5th?
Yeah. What about?
How about I send out a couple of dates? We'll give a couple choices. And hopefully everybody can fit one of those choices into their schedule.
Well, I can change my judge's court date.
Well, what I need from
And
you
I'm
that
the
have,
dental
you need to
surgery.
send,
Other than that, I could change.
okay.
Motion doesn't require a second. Vote
Doesn't.
requires.
All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Larry.
I love that motion. It requires a second, always in order.
Yeah. I use board to get the coffee.